Today we're going to talk about what to do if your ex is keeping you in relationship limbo. So if you don't know what that is, well, stick around because I'm going to be defining what the limbo period or thing is, and I'm also going to be teaching you what you should do if you find yourself in this limbo period after your breakup. So let's start with the most obvious question that you might be having, and that is, what is breakup limbo? Well, simply put, it's a situation where your ex says or does something that makes you believe that you are guaranteed to get back together in the future, but you aren't together right now. There's actually a really famous scene in the TV show How I Met Your Mother that deals with this concept, though they use something different. Basically, they're talking about a situation where the main character is like in love with this girl and she's always putting him on the hook, right? She's always saying like, well, we can't be together right now.
I'm really into you. I just can't be with you right now.
Well, that right now part is essentially relationship limbo. Your ex is gonna do or say something that will make you really believe that you can't be together right now, but in the future you will be together. And this is really difficult. Now, we've seen relationship limbo happen in a lot of different ways. More often than not, your ex is not going to say, hey, we can't be together right now, but in the future we can be together. They're gonna disguise it in other ways. Some of the most common examples include having an ex say something like, I just want to date before we settle down, just in case. Or, I think you are my best friend and you always will be, but I'm not ready to settle down yet. Maybe we will be in a few years. So the obvious reaction is you don't feel really good when this happens to you, but you also feel kind of hopeful when this happens to you. And this is kind of a complicated set of emotions that you have to deal with yourself. But what I'd like to do is turn the spotlight on exes who say this and why they're saying it. So, why are exes putting you in relationship limbo? Is it because they enjoy to see you cry or make you feel bad? Actually, I would argue it's the exact opposite. I kind of liken this to someone who gets really nervous about a confrontation, and as a result, they end up kind of conceding things to the other party because they're trying to avoid a confrontation. In this case, it would be kind of a hero complex. Your ex knows that they're going to break your heart with a breakup, but they don't want to break your heart completely, so they say something that will make you feel better in the moment, but will ultimately make you feel worse in the long term. Something like, hey, I don't want to be with you right now. I want to date a little bit before we settle down. That is supposed to make you feel better. Of course, it usually doesn't, but it gives you a little bit of a slim hope to hold on to. Now, are they doing this in a malicious manner? Well, in my experience, they're not. They're just unaware or not very good at dealing with conflict. So let's kind of talk about another concept, and that's what to do if you find yourself in this limbo period. I mean, thus far we've talked about what relationship or breakup limbo is, what it looks like, some of the things that exes will say to cover it up. We've explored some of the psychology behind why they're doing it, but we haven't really talked about, or at least when I've looked at advice out there, I don't really see a lot of actionable things that people can do when they find themselves in this limbo, other than work on yourself and things like that. And that's important. We talk a lot about that on this YouTube channel, but I want to give you a little bit more actionable advice that you can kind of implement if you find yourself in this situation. And I suppose in order to do that properly, we need to first talk about the difference between active strategies and reactive strategies. So what is a reactive strategy? Well, reactive strategies are basically a strategy where you don't have any agency yourself. You essentially are reacting to what your ex is doing, and that's motivating your every decision in quote unquote trying to get them back. So reactive strategies are essentially like waiting for your ex to call or respond to a text message, or stalking their Facebook profile or looking at their Instagram story. These are not things that you're actively doing to improve your situations. They're things that you are reacting to. And what we need to do is, instead of getting you to focus on reactive strategies, we need to kind of get you to focus on active strategies. So what is an active strategy. Well, simply put, an active strategy is the exact opposite of a reactive strategy. So an active strategy is basically anything you can do that gives you some sense of control. So this is like, we are always recommending things like the no contact rule, or you actually reaching out to your ex when you want to talk to them. So keep this concept in mind. Active strategies are always going to be better than reactive strategies, especially in scenarios like this, where you're stuck in this limbo. But there's something that a lot of experts out there, I think, miss when they look at situations where their clients are in limbo. And that's the simple fact that the issue of limbo is essentially an availability one. Now, a few videos ago, I recorded this video where I talked a lot about playing hard to get and the science of playing hard to get and why we're finding it works and how, it can work with the no contact rule and everything like that. Limbo is the exact opposite of playing hard to get. Availability is your issue. Now, think about it. An ex who says or puts you on the hook, who puts you in this relationship limbo period, or even a friend zone, I guess, can be a form of limbo in an odd way, but that's a much bigger discussion to talk about. But let's say you find yourself in relationship limbo or breakup limbo. Your ex has said it there and said, I'm just gonna date around right now. I'm gonna go date someone else before we get back together and kind of live happily ever after. I need to get this out of my system. What they're essentially saying subconsciously is, I know that you're pathetic enough to wait around for me. So I know that I can get away with taking advantage of you by going and dating all these other people, and then you'll still be there when I come back. That is ultimately what they're thinking. They're disrespecting you on that level. So, do you need to disrespect them back? No. What you need to do is prove to them you're not as available as they think you are. Human relationships are quite simple when you boil them down. It's a big contest or competition. You are always trying to find the person who you think best meets your needs, but also minimize the costs. That's why a lot of men are not attracted to super anxious women. Why? It's annoying to have a woman constantly berate you for not responding right away, or constantly gnat you when you're in a work meeting, or do something that proves they're emotionally unstable. It makes them feel this person is chaos and I want a little bit more control. That's probably what a lot of people think when you go through a breakup, especially if they've disrespected you on this level where they think you're not very available. So you need to do the exact opposite of them. Anything you can do to prove that you are not as available as they think you are is going to be a win in the perception column. They're going to look at you and think, wow, I had them pegged wrong. Or they may even look at you and panic because, wow, now they may have lost you forever. Alright guys, thanks so much for making it to the end of this video. Now if you haven't already, make sure you take that quiz that I was talking about at the beginning of this video. Again, it's the Ex Recovery Chances quiz, and it's a simple free 2-minute quiz that's designed to basically tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back, so you know whether or not you're wasting your time in your specific situation. Our goal always is to give you the most actionable advice for your situation, even if it's a difficult thing to do, and the quiz can help us do that. Also, one more thing. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every subscriber helps immensely. I think we're up to like 58,000 now. So if you could, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would help out tremendously. I'll see you next time.